Joined now here in Las Vegas by Danny Tarkanian. He is a Republican who is running for the U.S. Senate. That is the Senate seat that's currently held by Dean Heller. We'll hear from Dean Heller in just a moment. But first of all, before we get to what we just heard from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, how's Nevada doing? How's Las Vegas doing?
You know, this was the worst fear that all Nevadans have had. This was the worst thing that had happened to our city, not only in the loss of lives, but in what it's going to do to our economy and just the fabric of our city. But what's been great is the incredible response so many people have had here. As you mentioned, some of these stories. One guy actually was married to a wife of someone, and he laid on top of her and saved her life while he was
Newlyweds.
shot. Newlyweds. You hear stories of Army veterans that came into Russia and helping people get away from the shooting. You saw one lady didn't even that was lying there dying at the time, and she stayed with them until his family members could come. You know, it's heartbreaking to hear the stories of the people that have passed away, the ones that you had mentioned there, but it's really heartwarming to hear the actions of so many heroic people that came out and did some of the most incredible heroic things during this type of a tragedy. And then you see what's happening with this community ever since then. I mean, you saw the police, the firemen taking extraordinary steps to stop the shooter. You saw the hospitals, the EM people helping to save lives there. And as you mentioned, the blood banks. My wife and I tried to go there yesterday. The line was over 6 hours deep. Couldn't get there at all. So it's really makes me proud to be a Las Vegan and proud of my fellow Las Vegans.
We just heard from the Senate Majority Leader. I want to play a piece of sound from the guy that you're hoping to unseat. This is Dean Heller. He was asked a similar question about gun control. Take a listen to what he said.
That dialogue does need to occur, but I don't think now is the time for this. You know, we have a lot of victims, we have a lot of survivors, we have a lot of families that are in town right now, and I think right now our focus needs to be on those individuals to make sure that they have everything that they need.
I was in Newtown, I was in Orlando, I was in San Bernardino, I was in Charleston. I've been to a lot of mass shootings, and every time there's a mass shooting in this country, someone says some sort of variation of what we just heard there, that now's not the time to have the conversation. When is the time?
Well, I think you give the city some time to grieve, some time to get over it, and then you discuss the type of things that we just mentioned, the heroic activities by so many people, and then you sit down and you have to have this conversation. This is a thing that concerns me when people want to rush this issue. If this is such an important issue, which I think it is, these actions cannot continue to happen.
So you think something needs to change?
Something has to change where we can stop these type of actions, absolutely. But why would you want to talk about that, what is it, 36 hours since the event here? If it's so important, talk about it when people have had a time to get over it, and you understand the full investigation. You know, I know you want to.
No, but you've been through enough of these to know.
No, this is the first one in Las Vegas that has hit our community like this.
But I'm telling you, I've been to enough of these to know that 3 or 4 days from now, people stop talking about it. People forget about it.
Then hold your congressmen and your senators responsible when they don't go back to Washington, D.C., and they don't address this issue and to your liking. But there should be a dialogue on it. I mean, these things should not continue. But it isn't the time to talk about it 36 hours after this has happened. Here in Las Vegas, to my community, I was at a vigil last night with hundreds of people there, miles from this location.
So you maintain, though, that something does need to happen on a congressional level. There needs to be some sort of legislation that addresses this.
We need to do what we can, and I think legislation-wise and otherwise, that can help minimize these type of activities.
Things like what?
There's got to be solutions. Well, that's the whole point. If you don't know what happened here and what caused this, how can you talk about solutions? And I'll give you an example. I like Congressman Ruben Kuhn from Nevada, but he was on TV earlier today talking about, hey, this is such a horrible thing. We got to use this as an example. We got to have some type of actions taken. And after the interviewer 3 times asked him what actions, he gave 3 responses that wouldn't have done anything to change what happened here. If you're going to use this example as a reason to have some type of legislation passed, let's find out what happened. Let's find a good solution that can solve to minimize these things from happening again, and make sure that we do it within the constitutional framework that our country is built on.
There's no registration required for guns in this state.
No, there are. Well, okay, you have to go through a background check and all that stuff, which this guy did. So do you think the registration would have changed?
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in terms of solutions. I mean, these are some of the things that people are talking about. Limiting the number of guns that someone might be able to own. There are those who wonder why might someone need more than 40 weapons?
I agree with you. That's a lot of weapons. But let me ask you, are you going determination?
No.
Is somebody from MSNBC?
No.
How about the NRA? Are they going to make that decision?
No, but I think there are a lot of folks in this country who would like for lawmakers to perhaps make that decision, or at least have the conversation.
And make sure it's approved by the court system.
So if elected, you're going to be one of those lawmakers that goes to Washington, D.C. and does something about gun control.
I'm going to go there. Yeah, I will go there and try to find whatever's best solution we can, gun control, whatever otherwise, to minimize these type of activities within the framework of our Constitution.
Mr. Tarkanian, good to see you. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
I was a big fan.